Tshwane Metro Police have arrested 3 people in Mabopane, including a sangoma, after they were found allegedly digging up graves while officers receiving a complaint from security guards working at that graveyard about people disrupting burial sites and digging up graves there. For more on the story, we're joined by the Funeral Practitioners Association of South Africa's President, Judie Mbuthuma. Judie, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. I certainly hope you can hear me much better this time around. And the question I asked was about whether or not this is something that is seen elsewhere in the country, or is it just this one incident?
Good evening, Kathy, and good evening to the viewers out there. This is not an isolated incident, Kathy. It's something that's been happening as a recurring incident all over the country. But I think it's just the first time that these culprits have actually been caught red-handed. And I'd like to commend basically the security officers at Mabopane Cemetery for basically being so vigilant. Because one of the reasons that they are not caught all the time is because securities are either sleeping or they're not basically on site at all at the burial sites. So, which is why you sometimes come in the morning or you go to visit a grave and you find that basically it's been vandalized.
One wonders what exactly it is that these individuals would be looking for. Is it a case of trying to steal tombstones, or are they trying to really get into the coffins?
Look, Kathy, when we come to, let's start with coffins. I seriously doubt that one will be digging basically for coffins. Because obviously, when a coffin comes out of the ground, it's already damaged, either by stones or the gravel itself, basically, that is thrown onto the coffin when you are filling up the burial site. So basically, if you think about them getting into the grave for a coffin, I think that's hardly ever the case. But it's more basically after human remains, because the fact that we've had a traditional leader that was arrested should tell you basically they after human remains more than coffins or tombstones for that matter. Mm-hmm. But, you know, as it is, basically they are desecrating burial sites. They are damaging tombstones, which basically cost anything from 7,000 basically up until even 100 and something thousand rand, depending on basically the type of tombstone that has been erected. And obviously after that tombstone has been damaged, it's going to cost the family more money to go and erect a tombstone again. It's actually something that is monumental and that is supposed to basically be something that points out to the future generations as to where a loved one was laid to rest. So, you know, when it comes to the cultural things like going to a grave for that matter, you normally find basically in the black cultures, one would basically go with herbs, so something called impepo in isiZulu, and go with basically like some livestock, either a fowl or a goat or something, in order to disturb the tomb for purposes of either erecting or cleaning or whatever for that matter. Now you get somebody there who's not even a relative for that matter, going and trampling and desecrating burial sites. You would think that a traditional leader at least is somebody that would respect that. And the fact that a traditional leader is found desecrating a burial site is you know, something that you can't handle at this point in time.
I would imagine the one question on the minds of many families will be, how do they ensure that the graves of their loved ones are protected?
As I said, Kathy, it's either basically a little or no presence of security guards basically at burial sites. So it's something that basically Parks and Cemeteries Board needs to look into ensuring basically that there's, you know, sufficient security at cemeteries, especially in the evenings. Yes, there are thefts and desecrations that happen during the day as well. But, you know, there's a lot of vandalism that happens in the evenings because, you know, people take for granted that, you know, everyone is asleep at that point in time. I know for certain in my town, in fact, there was a time where a tombstone was basically found on the ground because it was trampled by animals, not even by people, but by animals. So that tells you basically that securities are not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
All right. Funeral Practitioners Association of South Africa President Judie Mbuthuma. We'll leave it there for tonight. Valen is standing by with a look at your sports. Still ahead, at the top of 8 o'clock, we're expecting to hear from President Cyril Ramaphosa. He'll be announcing his government's intervention where the energy crisis is concerned. That briefing live right here on Newzroom Afrika.